Because the only way you know it is this, it should be on up there.
Okay, I guess this would come under unfinished business. Proposed budget, 216 budget. I had, last week, middle of last week, I had a couple items I was informed of. One being the need for another funding transfer of $150,000 to get us through the end of the year. Now, please don't shoot the messenger. This is this is just what you come up with that we're gonna have to have. Perhaps you can explain it better why we need to transfer this money and.
I guess what I want to say, of course, is that if you look at that schedule that I did, through December 11th, which includes checks that I processed on the 2nd, and the December 11th payroll, we're in the hole by almost $36,000. So I did this, the cash flow, just to show you monthly what was coming in and what was going out. Other than that, I know you've had some big expenses. You've had the leases. And in fact, in December, November and December, we had $64,000 in each leases each month, which adds up quite a bit. And then you had all of the expenses for Station 2 throughout the year also.
I guess
Is there, I mean, is there a
the question
spending?
that comes up is this a cash flow problem or a budget shortfall?
I would say a budget shortfall, wouldn't you, Chief?
Yeah, a little bit more. We, Judy and I kind of got together last week, and we shared it with our board chair. But we just received the MERS update for well, this year, and tried to do some calculations for next year. And we're finding that, you know, it looks like the MERS increase is probably going to be, I think, additional $20,000 what we came up with, right, Judy?
Right, yeah, for this year. It
So I
was
mean, we're looking at
Okay,
a
but that's next year.
yes.
But this
It's
year,
not $150,000 this year.
this year,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
it increased by 5.1%, and we just got that last month.
Yes.
And had to pay out $26,000, I think, and that was only through October.
Okay, so from January to October.
Yeah,
Okay,
it went
so
up by,
that's
it
20,
more than doubled,
that's $26,000.
right?
Again, that's still not
I know.
$150,000.
I don't know, I haven't looked at the budget to see, you have a copy in there, but I think there were increases in the wages that weren't anticipated, right? Wages and benefits.
Yeah.
Wages and benefits was over.
Yeah.
And of course, we had the building expense at Station 1.
Right, that was, I don't know if we took out that 4,600, but including that for what, 5 or 6 months, it was 171,000 right there.
So Judy, what you're proposing is to take one of the reserve accounts and transfer.
Right, it would have to be, the only one that has that much in it would be the one in Talbot Bank.
Well, it looks like there's two. There's a money market reserve that has $245,000 in it, and there's a certificate of deposit.
That one's a CD that doesn't mature until, I think it's March, so we don't wanna really touch that one, because there'd be a penalty.
Okay, and that was my question. Are there any penalties for
Yeah.
moving it out of the
Yes.
money market?
Yeah, you wouldn't wanna touch that one.
Are there any penalties for moving it out of the money market?
Money market shouldn't, no, that's just like a regular savings account.
Okay, I did some quick math, and we were $251,000 over budget. Now, we transferred
160,
160,
right,
so that would put us now about $90,000 over budget.
okay.
If we transfer this 150,
Well, I'm just saying, for a cushion too, we've got
Right.
what, we've got the 36,000, we've got disbursements that I will be doing Thursday, and we've got another payroll. Just want a cushion, you don't wanna
right, you don't
be
wanna
down
cut
to
it to zero.
$10 in the bank account, you know, you don't know what's going to happen, and, you know. But again, if you look at the cash flow, you see that in January, we're gonna start getting
A lot.
tax revenues, right, that'll help us. But I'd rather be safe than sorry, you know, and say, oops, come back to the board next month and say, we didn't have enough to pay the bills. I don't
So
expect that to happen, but
150,000 would be
I'm sure it's over, yeah,
part of that is
right.
the cushion.
Right, and you can look at some of the things, look at the wages and benefits, and we should be pretty good if you look at the previous months and see what we've spent to date, so we should be good, like I say, I'd rather have an extra 75,000 in there than be short by $10 even.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
you don't
that's
wanna
my
start writing
opinion.
bad checks.
Yep. We can always put it back,
We can always put it
that's not a
back.
problem.
So the question is, we need $150,000, where are we gonna take it from?
Are you asking me?
You're probably a better one to answer that than me.
I
I don't
would-
have that much in my wallet.
I don't, Tom already asked me the other day, I told him I didn't have it. But no, probably, I mean, you could take some out of the savings in the Chelsea Bank, but easier probably take it all out of the Telmer. But it's the board's decision on that too.
Take it out of which one?
You can take it out of the money market in Telmer, or you could take part of it out of there and part of it out of the Chelsea Bank, the savings, but it's easier to do one transfer, I would
One
think, than, yeah.
transaction than two.
Mhm. But again, that's the board's decision what you wanna do. And I try to, if you look at the cash report that I give you too, it gives you the interest that we're earning on all the different ones too. Which isn't that much anymore.
No.
Pretty soon they'll be charging us.
Can you do that in the next few days?
What's that?
Sign up on that money market? Withdraw that?
Where are they located?
In Talmer Bank,
State and Eisenhower.
Yeah, I could do that.
They're right on the corner, correct?
Yeah. No, I'll be headed that way probably Friday.
Excellent, okay.
Get cash.
I will.
Yeah. No detours.
So we're looking at taking 150 out of the money market? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep. If we have a motion for that.
Money market doesn't have that much, does it?
Yeah,
This
that's
one here, that's all.
Well, this one, okay.
259, something, am I correct?
Mhm.
Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to make a $150,000 withdrawal from the money market at Palmer Bank and transfer in the general fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor of the transfer of $150,000 this week from the money market to the general fund, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any other questions for Judy while
Yeah,
she's here?
Yep, I've got
One
some.
quick one,
Yes.
is there any paperwork or anything I'm going to need from the office? Or can I just stroll in there and say, hi, I'd like 150,000, please?
If you're a signer, you should be able to. I don't know if that's required. Kim, would you know more?
I need to pull the records on that Palmer account.
And see if we need two signers.
I know Jim and Rob are on it, I'm not sure if they changed it.
I thought I was, but
On the town.
I'm
We'll-
not certain.
we'll
I'm
double
not
check.
certain. We'll wanna check on
Yeah.
that before
I'll pull the
before
records.
I
Do
go.
we have two signers on that?
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah,
That's,
everything needs two, that's why you
Yes,
usually
and
take
there is
two
two
people to
signers.
transfer.
All right.
Yes.
you leave blank checks with it?
I do.
Oh, good.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry,
No.
not that account.
No.
I was thinking of the trust and agency, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That one.
So you're saying Jim,
When the
Jim
fund-
is on that account?
Jim and Rod were, and did we add you, Craig? I have to look.
I thought
I'm
so.
far. I think so too, but I
It's been
don't,
quite some time ago, but,
without checking, I'm not
yeah.
positive.
Well, if he is, then he can run and get it and handle that, so then you won't have to.
Like I say, it doesn't matter, I'll be, Friday I intend on going right by there, so,
Oh,
either which.
you plan your week that far ahead?
Well, I kinda have to, things get all jammed up.
Um,
Go ahead.
Kurt, you got questions?
Yeah, Judy, on this month's, on the check register, we've got a bank service charge of about $40. Do you know what's going on with that? You know, every time we get audited by THP, it's an audit finding that we're paying credit card interest or penalty, or bank fee penalties and interest. We're trying to get that, you know, get it off the audit findings and stop paying these interest charges.
Right,
Do
you
you
know
know
what,
what's-
I'll have to look that up off the top of my head, I don't recall, do you recall that one, Kim?
No.
I can't.
It's I do, you know what, that is not a bank fee, that is for the remote capture.
Oh, the $39.95?
$39.95.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Remote capture.
Okay, when you
Just
said,
hit
for-
it.
yes, that is a monthly charge.
It's a monthly charge for the remote
It's a
capture.
what charge?
It's,
Service charge.
It's a
Monthly
service
service
charge
Right.
for the
To-
equipment and.
she uses the automatic deposit machine, you know, right there in the office. And that's what they
Oh,
charge.
I'm not sure I understand. You have an automatic deposit?
It's a remote capture
No.
machine.
I call it,
It remotely deposits the checks. As soon as they come in, we can know if it in a more timely fashion. It's just, you might have seen the commercials where people can take pictures with their cell phones and send them to, it's similar to that.
So, and that
Oh,
shows
it's
up
an actual
every month?
machine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're paying $500 a year to do something remote?
Mhm.
I mean, it's
yes.
12 times 40.
Yeah, 480.
480, it's,
Mm-hmm.
that's being charged to 3-956, and in our budget, I don't show a 3-956, I see 55 and 57. 5.5 is miscellaneous.
Yeah, I try to avoid that as much as I can, but I think you do have a 956 is the bank fees, right, Chief? Let me see what I've got here.
So if there is a 956 and it's almost $500 a year, it seems like we should be showing it on the budget, in my opinion.
It's brand new. We have only had it for part of this year, so that might be why.
Judy must have it right there.
On the next one, the profit, loss, budget versus actual, you know,
Right,
these columns here add up to this column here adds up to this column here doesn't add up, and it's because this dollar amount up here hasn't been carried across.
really?
You know, everything should
You know
add
what,
this way and everything should go this way.
Right,
and
that's
you
in
should
the
be able to
program, and I've never,
calculate that two different ways, and this is,
it's
because
not
that's
over
not
there.
showing up here, this column.
I'll make a change to the program then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll verify that because it's right in the program. We'll have to, yeah, I'll change that.
For the chief's vehicle allowance,
Mhm.
that's a contractual item, and we budget for it, and we're showing 6,000. I don't know why it's up to 7,384.
I don't either.
But that'll be, that'll be an audit finding,
Okay,
you know, that we have a
okay,
contract.
and I'll
with the
verify that too.
amount.
Okay,
Yep,
okay,
that's that too.
okay, check that. And it might just be that it has to be reclassed. There may have been an error in the posting. I'll double check. I will go through and check the year's
This is not
postings for that one.
Okay. The balance sheet,
Mhm. Yes,
this 0-380.1 Lima escrow fund, we got rid of that about,
2 years ago.
that was
Okay.
on there when I started here back in March or April. I did,
It was supposed to disappear, let's put
Okay.
it that way.
right, so how do we go about getting that to disappear?
I'll talk to the auditors and see how to post that.
So you go back to PHP and do that?
Yep, yeah, I'll just give them a call,
Okay,
okay?
because there was
And what
a
was the account number on that again? I'm sorry.
0-380.1
Okay,
under equity.
I'll look at it too, and I can look at the history and see how it was posted. And we can get rid of that then. That's not a problem.
Okay, there was another charge here that I had on the business card, which was CVS Pharmacy, but I believe the chief already discussed that one.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay, two items that I have, one we discussed with the chief was reducing the hours of Kim, his assistant, from 3 days a week to 1 day a week. That would save us about $17,000 a year. The other item is a proposed $20,000 legal cost budgeted. It's kind of a guesswork as to whether we're gonna need that much. I personally hope not to. I don't see us needing that much, but I think there's gonna be some savings there. We also discussed overtime. There had been mandatory overtime for things like fair parade and open house and such. And we can cut that so that there isn't the mandatory overtime for those items. If we get the people, fine. If not, we'll have to find another source of manpower for things like fair parade, but I hate to pay out an awful lot of overtime for non-essential services. So, basically, those items lumped together should offset our expected MERS expenses. Judy estimated them at about $20,000 for next year. She said it was a little high, but to be on the safe side. So the savings between those three things should offset that item, which means our budget is roughly about $15,000 over budget for this year. The chief has also taken into action some purchasing requirements. He's got to sign off on purchases unless it's an emergency. Some other minor budget control, so hopefully we can stay within budget this year. We're gonna be down to about a $300,000 plus reserve, so we really don't have any choice but to hold the line. If we spend too much money, then the cuts have to come someplace, because we can't go below where we are now. It's too risky. Any other budget questions?
Tom, for clarification on your last point about minimum in that reserve account,
Yeah.
is that a percentage of the overall budget that we need to have set aside based off of state requirements, or?
No, there's no real requirements. Our accountants have recommended that when we were at $800,000, just a short time ago, they recommended that was a practical amount. And some cities say you should have 20% in emergency funds, which for us would be about 340,000. I'd like to see a little bit more than that because of some of the problems we've run into. But right now, with this transfer, we'll be right around $300,000.
Okay. And we don't want to go below that. Okay.
I had one additional question. You know, if you look on the income side of it, we thought that we would be getting $399,000 from the city of Chelsea. It says Chelsea Village, from the city of Chelsea. And for our budget, we thought we'd get $415,000. And we're about 16,000 shy of reaching that. Do we know why that is? Are we off
No,
there?
because, no, we use the numbers that are provided by the state. And so that's what we base our budget numbers on. But it appears when you look back historically, the townships seem to come in over and the city seems to come in under projections.
So it's not because of delinquent taxes or anything like that, that we're expecting to see a check from the
No.
county in the near
No.
future to make up when they,
So that would be property assessments that were expected revenue?
Yes. Those are based on the state, and the state sends them out to us for, well, all the municipalities for the year to base your budget on, so.
Okay.
On the revenue that it would generate, so.
I would like to think that would increase for all municipalities here this coming year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a budget as amended before us. Would we like to vote on this to accept this for next year's budget?
I think so, let's say Sylvan Township Board looked at it and gave me the authority to go ahead and vote yes to approve this budget, so I'll move to do that.
Okay, motion by Cossack, second.
I'll second. Lima made the same decision last night.
The city chose not to take any action on the budget last night. So, but having not heard any disagreements, I don't see any problem with that. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the proposed budget as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This will be our budget and we will have to live within it.
So we're gonna strike this mandatory. Strike that back to zero.
Which one is that?
The mandatory.
No, that's not, that's, stays the same. Let's see, where's MERS retirement? That would be $20,000 more. And legal, we cut to 10. And then,
For the January board packet, we should have the budget included in there.
yeah, that'll be
You know, this is the most recent
The
document.
approved
I-
one.
Yeah.
Approved, yeah.
And if we're gonna add that, remote banking 956, you know, we should put that in there, and we should,
Delete the Lima escrow.
Hmm?
I said delete the Lima escrow.
Right.
line item.
Okay, moving on. Item 9, new business, standard operating guidelines. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. Thanks.
I didn't see anything in
No, there's nothing.
No, this was, the board chair wanted to,
Talk
you,
about that.
you were just wanted to, that was your idea to wanna
Discussion.
just discuss this, the standard operating guidelines just being done internally. That was,
Okay, I don't know, it was on the agenda, I thought you had something else.
no, that's what you wanted to put on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay? So Lynn don't know what Wright's doing.
No, what you had said is, because we were talking about standard operating guidelines, and you were saying
Oh, yeah, I understand now. The chief and I had a discussion about standard operating guidelines that they write up, and whether it should be the job of the board to approve these. The question is, you know, if it's a standard guideline on how you roll hose, does that really concern us? Or is it, if it's a standard guideline on, you know, staffing levels or something like that, when you hire overtime, does that concern us? Basically, a definition, rather than having us go through all the SOGs one by one, perhaps we could set some guidelines as to what's his business, what's our business.
Okay. Previous to a contract and previous to having an HR firm on board, this board needed to look at all the SOGs.
Yeah.
Because there were things in there that weren't dealing with rolling of hoses, they were hiring policies and that kind of thing.
Right.
Now with an HR firm on board and with a contract that defines a lot of things, I agree with you 100%.
Policy should still come. Policy should still be approved by the board. So, there's a difference between policies and standard operating guidelines, because operating guidelines would be specific to the operation, truck operations, things like that. Policy would be more in line with, you know, like staffing levels and things like that. So I think that's the difference that I would see it.
You know, we haven't, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I'm sure there's plenty of other departments that have done, and fire authorities that have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And take a look at those and see how they apply. And we can, you know, include or remove those that don't. To create a whole new one, I think is.
Well, we're just trying to give the chief some guidance, so.
Well, and I think that he needs to have that, so that we don't create a confliction as to, well, I thought or understood, you know, we're in this area of, let's make sure we understand what you are expected to do and not to do, and where our position is in making sure that happens or not happens.
Right.
But I'm sure we're definitely far from the only ones that need to address this.
Okay, that was the only, I mean, I'm not looking for a motion or anything, but I'm looking for guidance as to what has to come back to us. Anything that might be contractual or interact contractual as opposed to fire ground operation.
Specific to operations, if it's policy where you get into determining staffing or where there's a cost associated, then that has to be a board decision.
I would agree.
So,
As far as the day-to-day SOGs, I think that could be
Yeah,
kept
that's-
internal and not brought before the board.
Okay, reports. The chief's evaluation is coming up. And I've collected evaluation forms and comments and such. We haven't had any from the city representative.
It's tough when I haven't been here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, minor detail. Who?
so never had to do it.
What I will do is,
I'm sure you'll do it.
I will take these forms and come up with a compilation. And add in if you have any other comments. You can email them to me, but we should have, how do you wanna handle this come January?
Closed session.
Would that be a closed session?
Normal evaluation would be closed session.
Okay.
Yeah, up to the chief.
That's
Yeah.
up to him.
So would you prefer, Chief?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to meet early before our meeting, or have a special meeting, or?
We're not going to closed session during the regular meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can?
Just do it at the tail end like we normally do, and that way if folks have something else to do, when we come out of closed session, we can adjourn and
Okay.
move forward.
So our next meeting is January 19th, Tuesday the 19th. And you would say we would do it before the regular meeting or?
Towards the end of the.
At the end.
Towards the end. Put it right in the regular agenda.
Yeah. Whatever it's doing.
Mhm.
So we'll still start at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I also have, from Taylor Swift.
Cool.
The funny thing is, I tried to send an email with that on it, and it came back. From Foster Swift, I just got their written proposal on an ordinance for billing
Oh, for cost recovery?
and for cost recovery, should call it that. I will have copies made of this, and we can include that in the next packet
January.
for everybody to review, or I could email it to you before that.
If, I'm assuming we would, like the municipalities to have a look at that and,
Right.
once again, generate some type of approval or something on that?
Well, they will each have to adopt their own ordinance.
Okay.
They can take this ordinance and fill in the blanks, or they can have their attorneys.
Well, we discussed this once before, and that's why we asked Mike to come up with one generic ordinance
Right.
that each municipality could adopt, and that way we're all identical with the exceptions and names in there.
And that's what they have done.
Okay.
And that's what I would hope everybody would do. Now, if for some reason a municipality does not want to do that, then they should have their own adopted, but they should follow these guidelines as to, it boils down to that if it's a hazardous materials incident and you cite that in your cost recovery, then it falls under a different law. It wouldn't fall under your local ordinance. Now, if you send out a bill and say, under ordinance such and such, we can recover our cost, but it's a hazardous material incident, then you just gave up your right to recover that cost because it doesn't apply.
Without having looked at that, my understanding was that by each of the municipalities approving that it would defer the obligation to collect, if you want to phrase it that way, to CAFA. That
Correct.
the individual municipalities do not do any billing or anything.
Correct.
They just we just say, we're aware that you're going to take
You
care of this.
authorize CAFA to handle the cost of recovery and based on this ordinance.
Okay.
Is that how that reads, Tom?
Hmm?
Is that how that reads?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'd like to get a copy, why don't you email to all of us?
I'll email it to all of you and then we'll include it in the packet next.
Okay.
week.
And he just used the one that he showed us that was really based off the cities, right? City of Chelsea.
It's mostly based off the cities, yeah.
As a timeframe would go, if you get that to me quickly enough, I could put it before the board in January. We would have to schedule a public hearing
For the
February-
adopt
February
ordinance. Yeah.
to adopt the ordinance.
Correct.
And then it would go into effect, I believe, 30 days after that. So
The
you're,
only-
earliest you're looking at is March to have
Right.
the ability.
The only headache would be when doing the billing, they would have to cite specific ordinances based on which township they were in or city, as opposed to what they do now with the blanket ordinance.
Right, right. But if they would have a copy of each township's approved ordinance, they'd know mine was
Right.
11.7 and yours was 9.2 and
Right.
whatever, however it fit in.
So you'll distribute that letter to us and then we'll go back
I'll
to our
email it,
boards and
I'll email it to you and we'll send copies in the packet next month. We'll take action on it next month.
take action to take it to our respective boards
Yes,
and get the
yes.
process started.
Yeah.
So we don't want us, you don't want to give us giving it to the board now?
You can now, you know, if you're comfortable with it, if you feel further discussion is needed, or if you find flaws in it, if there's something you don't like.
Yeah, I just
that's
assume
fine.
get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
No, we can
that
get
was
it to
my
our
thought,
boards
but-
right away and let them start looking at it, yeah.
Because at that point, basically, we'll be jumping the gun once again before our board meeting here, so.
At least we get feedback from the local townships and cities before our next meeting.
This will be a huge benefit because it'll streamline being able to collect. Yeah.
That's all I have. Vice Chairman,
I have already said my piece, I have not.
Secretary,
Not at the moment.
Treasurer,
Nothing additional.
City Representative.
No, I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Missed a good meeting last night.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about that.
Lots of good meetings last night.
I had a ball. Okay, announcements, next meeting.
January 19th.
Correct.
Right here at 9 AM.
9 AM. Now, we're supposed to have an annual meeting?
Mhm.
Yep, typically is.
One and the same, isn't it?
Typically,
Yeah.
the
One and-
January meeting is
You
our,
do the one and then closes and you open right into the next one.
Okay.
There's two separate agendas, we have the annual meeting and then that closes.
Yeah.
And we open into the regular CAFA meeting.
All right.
and just for your information, we did our appointments last night also, which retained me as the board member and Vince Spade still as the alternate.
Alternate.
Congratulations.
Thanks. One of those where you ask for volunteers and everybody turns their head the other way. You know how that works?
Yeah, really.
Final public comment, any comments? No? Then,
That's, I'm up.
Maestro?
I'm up. No, don't you be stealing my thunder. I am the motion to adjourn man.
Yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it then.
There, you can be the
Second.
second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are
Okay.
adjourned. Thank you very